Okay, so this is activity number 2, measurements in chemistry. I-ready ang mga calculator. Kay ang chemistry, dili lang siya taman sa mag-memorize, dagdaghan kayong elements, compounds, atoms, and so on. Chemistry also has a lot of computation to do since, remember, in science, we either get a qualitative data or a quantitative data. So when you say quantitative data, we have numbers. Thus, meron tayong a lot of measurements na ginagawa in chemistry. And the study of this measurement is called metrology. So I hope you can see. It's a screen. Let me make it bigger. Ayan. So this is the study of measurement. We call it metrology. Marami tayong ginagawa sa chemistry na measurement, and with those numbers are the units. So do not forget that in chemistry, units are very important because the numbers will become meaningless without the unit. Tumingon kag 1, so unsa nang 1? 1 kung wala siya unit. So dapat kabalupod taon sa ang mga units na ginagamit nato sa chemistry, like 1 meter, 1 centimeter, 1 kilogram, and so on. So do not forget, aside from the numerical value, it has to have a unit. Okay? So we have here, ang ginagamit natin, class, mostly sa modern na time is the SI unit of measurements. So we have the SI, which means International System of Units. So mo na ito ang ginagamit na units for our measurements. Okay. Sige. Actually, after giving your activity kasi, I have a part doon sa orientation. Di ba? Merong orientation ngayon, pero it's for the 2nd year to 4th year level. So wala silang klase. Kayo lang actually ang nagklase ngayon, ang mga 1st year. So meron kasi akong part sa sa orientation because I hold the research office sa school. So kailangan ako sila i-orient sa regarding sa research. So after giving the activity, I'll be moving on to the Zoom meeting for the orientation, and balik lang ako sa ating Zoom meeting after the orientation to cater if ever meron kayong concerns or questions. Okay? So pahintay na lang ako later kung kailan ako makabalik. I hope I can make it fast sa orientation. Sige, the following steps will help to improve your skill at solving numerical problems. So naamang tayo mga numerical problems for chemistry, dili lang siya taman sa mathematics ha. So what are you going to do? First, you have to read syempre the question carefully so that you can understand the question and you will know what to do in order to solve those problems. Okay? So frequently, it is helpful to make a sketch that will help you to visualize the situation. Before attempting to solve the problem, you visualize first the steps that you are going to do to achieve the correct answer for the problem. Next, after class, understanding the problem itself, find the appropriate equation that relates the given information and the unknown quantity. So that is why during your elementary days and even in your high school days, when you say mathematics, the teacher will always tell you to list the given first before you start solving. Kay sa given pa lang makabalo ka unsa ang mga information nga gihatag dito sa problem and what is missing or what is asked in the problem, so that after identifying those information, you will know what correct or appropriate equation are you going to use in order to solve what is missing in the problem or what is asked in the problem. Okay, so always do that na you read the problem, you list the given, and then before identifying the appropriate equation na gagamitin ninyo. So sometimes solving a problem will involve more than one step, and you may be expected to look up quantities in tables that are not provided in the problem. So this is true for those problems na there are missing things na you need to look up pa. For example, ang ginapangayo sa inyo kay the measurement in meter but the given is in centimeter. So you have a lot of steps to do before really going into the equation. You have to convert a lot of units pa, so you have to look at that also. So like we call that dimensional analysis. So check your answers for the correct sign, units, and significant figures. Let me ask you, nung high school kayo, you were taught of the significant figures, right? Sino dito ang hindi naturuan ng significant figures? Naturuan pero nakalimtan, kay ang motto ra ba sa estudyante, past is past. I believe natudluan mo pero nakalimot na gyud ang uban. I hope na ay mga nakaalala. Yes, Mr. Delgado. How should I call you?
JM po.
JM, okay, yes.
Hindi po siya naturo sa amin since non-STEM po ako.
Okay. How about sa junior high?
Hindi din po.
Oh, okay. So, meron ditong hindi naturo. Pero I guess itong mga STEM students na ito, since STEM is science and mathematics, I believe naagyud na siya significant figures. Yes, Jendy. Jendy? Jendy. Are you raising your hand?
Wala, ma'am. Wala po.
Napindot lang.
Napindot lang po.
Sige, okay. Napindot lang. So, for those non-STEM, we will be learning significant figures. For this activity and for the lecture, I will also teach you the significant figures. But since sa laboratory kasi, yung objective ng ating laboratory is self-directed learning. So you first try to learn things with yourself, and then later on, I will enforce the learning na inyuhang nakuha while doing the activity. So unahon sa ninyo ni buhat, and then i-check na to kung tama ba inyuhang understanding sa inyuhang mga na-research or tama ba inyuhang na-research. So that's it. Na siya, learning by yourself pag maingon kag laboratory class. Next, a very important part of problem solving is being able to judge whether the answer is reasonable. So it is relatively easy to spot a wrong sign or incorrect units. But if a number like 9 is incorrectly placed in the denominator instead of the numerator, the answer would be too small even if the sign and units of the calculated quantity were correct. So after arriving with an answer, and then checking whether your units and your signs and even the significant figures are correct, dili lang na siya din nahuman ang problem solving. You have to recheck first if your answer is really correct. So mao na siya ang importante pud na butang nga himon, because sometimes man good you are confident sa imuhang the answer and maybe na kay na miss nga part during sa solving, and that makes your answer wrong na. So it's really good to recheck your answer para makita ninyo kung tama gyud ba inyong answer or dili. And then one quick way to check the answer is to round off the numbers in the calculation in such a way so as to simplify the arithmetic. So the answer you get will not be exact, but it will be close to the correct one. So another thing in problem solving, you have to listen sa instruction or read the instruction if it is written, like written quiz like that. You have to really read the instruction kasi sa instruction nakalagay whether you are going to round off your answer, and kung i-round off nimo ang imuhang answer, pila ka decimal places or pila ka significant figures. So again, before mo mag-answer sa inyong quiz, sa inyong activity, or even sa inyong exam, you have to carefully read the instructions so that you will know how are you going to round off your final answers. So for the objectives of this activity, you have to identify the different measurements utilized in chemistry, apply the rules for significant figures in calculations. So ang research ninyo na task for today is to research the rules for our significant figures. I-research ninyo to, you read that one, and inyuha siyang i-understand. Katong sa mga STEM, mahimo na lang siya a sort of review since you have already this one in your senior high. So katong mga non-STEM, I think it's your first time to acquaint yourself with the significant figure. So you research the rules, try to understand it, and try to apply the rules in answering the following problems. And then differentiate precision and accuracy. And lastly, report the data and results using scientific notation and proper number of significant figures. So sa first part, sa calculation, since this is problem solving, you have to fill in the table. So ang nandito, how many significant figures are in the following numbers? So ingon ko, the first task that you are going to do before answering the activity is to research the rules for the significant figures. So naay mga numbers din 10 ni kabuok, you identify kung pila ka significant figures ang naa sa number 1 hangtod sa number 10. And for the explanation, you just write here the rules. Kung unsa ang nag-apply nga rule or rules nga nag-apply nganong nakaingon ka, for example, imuhang answer. This is just an example ha. Example, imuhang answer sa number 1 kay 3. So i-explain nimo diri using the rules nga imuhang na research nganong 3 ang answer sa number 1. Nganong tulo ka buok ang significant figure sa number 1. Klaro to? Any questions sa first part? Okay, this is the difference between college and high school ha, kasi sa college it's more on self-directed learning. So there are a lot of things that you need to learn with yourself first ha, before i-reinforce sa teacher. Kasi sa high school, a lot of things sa high school are being taught by your teacher firsthand. So mo na siya ang difference karon. So kamo sa una before ako. Mo na siya ang himuon nato sa ato ang activity. So sa number 2, this is still problem solving. This is simple math. Simple math, plus ug minus, times ug divide. Kung tan-awon ninyo ang mga items. Pero the twist there is, you are going to carry out the following operations as if they were calculations of experimental results, but you have to express your final answer in the correct units with the correct number of significant figures. So you have to really read the rules for the significant figures, including the operation. Kung mag-add ka or mag-minus ka, unsa dapat ang rule for the significant figure sa answer, kung mag-times o mag-divide, unsa po dapat ang rule na gamiton. So as to really arrive and obtain the correct answer for the following. Okay? Yeah, I'll post this one. Just like the activity number 1, I'll be publishing the activity number 2 later. And for those na walay Schoology, please PM me sa Facebook or some, sa Facebook lang di ay, so that I can send you a copy of this one. Dito sa atong group chat. Makita ko ninyo dito. Okay, so again, sa example sa letter A, i-add lang ninyo niya siya class, 5.6792 meter plus 0.6 meter plus 4.33 meter, and you write here the correct answer. But again, the correct answer should have the correct units, and it should be rounded off using the correct number of significant figures. That's the twist there. So let us get away from the normal mathematics, simple mathematics. That's the same until letter E. And then for number 3, you have to use the following formula to convert the following. So this is now for the temperature. Kasi sa chemistry, we also measure temperature body or the temperature of our solution. Remember, we have the boiling point and the melting point. Thus, it is very important for us to know how are we going to convert the units for the temperature. In the Philippines, we always use degrees Celsius for the temperature. Like the normal body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius plus and minus 0.6. But for example, you're going to US, so most of the people there use degrees Fahrenheit for the temperature. So kailangan kabaluta mag-convert. So the formula is already given in the activity. All you need to do is to perform the computation. Okay, so like this one, 250 K is Kelvin. So that's the third one, and then actually that's the SI unit for temperature, the Kelvin. So inyuha lang siyang i-convert 250 Kelvin to degrees Celsius and so on hangtod letter E. And then for letter F, this is still for the temperature, so you will be using still the formula given above. Pero this one is a sort of a situation. So again, in problem solving, you have to read the problem, understand it, list down the given, and decide what is the appropriate equation to be used, and then you have to solve the problem. You have to answer what is asked in the problem. So you have to write your answer here. It's the same thing with number 4 and number 5. So this one naman is for density. So another thing that you are tasked to do this morning, aside from looking at the rules for the significant figure, is looking at the equation for the density. How are you going to solve for density? I believe you know this very well. Sa equation nato sa density. Anyone who knows what's our equation for density? Yes.
Mass over volume.
Okay, very good. Density is
Mass
yeah, Maria.
mass over volume po.
Natiyal ko lalaki. Kinsa to?
Ako po, ma'am.
Jemuel. Okay, sorry. And then Mariam. Okay, tama inyo ang answers. Density is equal to mass over volume. Okay, mass over volume ha. I-apply ninyo na in answering number 4 and number 5. And also number 6. Number 6 is about precision and accuracy. So another research thing na himuon is to look at the definition of precision and accuracy, differentiate the two, and apply what you have researched for number 6 na problem. And then lastly, this is the last one, dimensional analysis. Pag moingon ka class og dimensional analysis, you are referring to the conversion of units. Like for this one, number 1, how many minutes are 2.5 hours? So from hours, you're converting it to minutes. That's dimensional analysis. It's the same thing with letter B, letter C, and letter D. And all you need to do is to research also the conversion factor. Diba? Kung mag-convert ta, kailangan na to og conversion factor. And then you may look at the conversion factor sa internet or any books nga naa mo. So medyo mahaba gihapon ng ato ang activity. Last thing to do is to make a conclusion. Again, I told you yesterday that what I want to read in the conclusion are the learnings na inyong nakuha while you are doing the activity. So mao na akong gusto makita sa inyong conclusion. Any question for this activity?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes?
Direct answer lang po ilagay, ma'am, or do we have to include the solutions po?
You have to include the solution.
Okay
Very
po.
good answer. You have to include the solution. And just like yesterday with the activity 1 also, you may use any kind of paper for this as long as you don't forget that to write your name and the activity number. If you're going to just write your answers, no need to copy this part. Itong introduction hangtod diri sa ato ang gigamit nga libro as reference. You may start here with the objectives and the calculations and so on. Pero I need you to copy the problem and then show your solution. Kindly box your final answer so that while checking, during checking, I can easily identify your final answer sa bawat problem. Now, you also have the option, if you have printers sa inyong balay, you have the option to print the whole activity and just write the answers sa kada box. So, depende. Kung wala may printer, then you will write this one. No need to write the first page hangtod conclusion. Anything else? Wala na? Kailangan kakalipangitan ako sa orientation. Nana. Okay, so I'll be publishing the activity now. And then after ma-publish, pwede na mo mag-start.